I don't actually know what this is about. It does have hashtag Bitcoin, hashtag social credit, and hashtag CBDC in the tags. And then it says, oh shit, it's really happening, is the title of the video. Apparently, I just need to say, oh shit, it's really happening, and be a really popular comedian to be able to do what I've been trying to do, huh? Let's go ahead and get into this and see what's going on. Oh, we can't hear it.
The private sector are
okay. There we go. Let's look at the. Let's make sure.
Together to discuss central bank.
How is that audio level? Is that audio level good for you guys? Jojo says the why is never money for government, it's influence for control or power. Well, if money is power, then it is. And the only reason that it's not money for the government, theoretically, is because government controls the printing of the money. Once you get into the situation where the government is no longer controlling the means of trade, or the money in this case, and moving into for example, a decentralized currency like Bitcoin, then they do become about money. Then it is the why. So the why is coming because of money, but it just hasn't happened yet.
Good news, everyone. The IMF, politicians, and the private sector are all getting together to discuss central bank digital currencies. That means that we won't need cash no more, and we can be monitored all the time. That's going to be a much better society.
Was that his computer or my computer?
We won't need cash no more, and we can be monitored all the time. That's going to be central bank digital currencies. That means that we won't need cash no more, and we can be monitored all the time. That's going to be a much better society for everyone, and definitely won't lead to social credit scores and being manipulated and having your...
No, it was my computer, but I don't know why. I don't see the alert anywhere, which is kind of funny. Oh, it was... All right, we're still connected, right? Yeah, I think we're connected. It was the connection.
Bank shut down, will it? Surely. What are you thinking? What you?
Wait, hold on.
Good news, everyone. The IMF, politicians, and the private sector are all getting together to discuss central bank digital currencies. That means that we won't need cash no more, and we can be monitored all the time. That's going to be a much better society for everyone, and definitely won't lead to social credit scores and being manipulated and having your bank shut down, will it? Surely.
I want to point something out that, like, everybody says I was crazy for, and I don't think I'm crazy for. Even Russell Brand now here. Sure, people call Russell Brand crazy, but just a few days ago, really, I posted this video. And I think I do stand behind this. I said banks will be obsolete, right? And there's something important that he said there, right? Your banks will close down. Here's the deal, man. Like, I think, like, because we either have CBDCs or we move towards Bitcoin, there is basically, in the future, no need for banks. Yeah. That's not going to be very fun moving into that future, because obviously banks will fight tooth and nail to maintain relevancy. But this isn't dissimilar from, like, the postal service and sending letters before email, right? Or pagers before text messages and cell phones, right? Like, this isn't any different. It's just, it's hard for people to see. And I get it. It makes sense that it's hard to see.
What are you thinking? What you? Hello there, you 6 million awakening wonders. Thanks for joining us on this voyage towards truth and freedom, where we awaken together individually and collectively so we can challenge established power and create new systems together, democratically, in freedom. Watch us every day on Rumble at these times. We stream live, then leave the shows up there completely free. Interviews with Jordan Peterson and Jocko Willink. We talk to experts that matter on the subjects you care about, and we will be completely uncensored on that platform. You can join us every day in the chat. See you over there. Now, let's get into today's story. There's a lot of talk about digital currencies. Some people are excited about Bitcoin and those ones that sound like Ethereum and metals from superhero movies that could change the world, those kind of ones. Imperium, Objectivo, those kind of currencies. Well, new Prime Minister of UK and Goldman Sachs, former Employee of the Year and WEF protege, and I hope none of these things contradict one another or bring about a conflict of interest, Rishi Sunak, or Radish Sinatra, as your President Joe Biden calls him.
Sunak is now the Prime Minister.
Is a keen advocate of CBDCs.
When the liberal president of the United States is being made fun of by somebody from the UK, it's really funny.
Central bank digital currencies. Here he is, in fact, advocating for them.
Today, I'm proud to say that under the UK's presidency, the group of the world's 7 most advanced economies, the G7, is launching a set of public policy principles for retail central bank digital currencies, CBDCs.
Yeah, I mean, like, we've been covering this stuff for a long time. It's interesting to see it start to enter the mainstream because we've been talking about it for forever, right? What is he looking for? Yeah, what's he looking at? This guy's a bot, bro. NPC, dude.
Bank digital currencies could be a digital version of money.
No shit. A central bank digital currency is a digital version of currency? What? No way, bro.
A bit like a digital banknote.
I like it, because we've got a broad concept. What if this person's an idiot? Which we think that they are. It's like a digital penny.
It's like a digital currency. It's a digital banknote. Hey guys, a digital currency is like a digital dollar.
Digital money box for your digital shithole that you live in. You will owe nothing. You will be happy.
That could be used alongside physical notes and coins.
For now, till we phase them out, if you start any little trucker protests, oh, where's my money gone? The digital piggy bank is broken, I'm afraid. Start being a bit more cooperative.
Unlike most of the digital money people use daily today, it would be issued directly by a central bank, like the Bank of England in the UK.
A central bank. Like, I still, like, if this is the case, if this moves into it, I do not see a place for banks in the traditional sense. Because each individual bank will want to, or each individual federal bank will want to fully control its digital currency. Like, the existence of banks right now is for, I mean, outside of, like, connections between the currency and the citizens, outside of that is just cross-border payments, right? So then I would say that you potentially have some. All right, so here's what it would look like. I think initially the first step would be you get rid of all of the regular banks within the country that interact with citizens, because now the citizens are directly interacting with the CBDC. For example, right now, what we have is the test net for FedNow, which launched in October, stateside, right? The launch is supposed to be in like June of 2023. And when that FedNow payment system launches, what they're going to do is essentially say, hey guys, like, this is basically the federal version of PayPal, right? So you come in, you download the FedNow app onto your phone. This is how you're going to receive your Medicaid payments. This is how you're going to get your tax return. Like, basically it'll target essentially everybody that's lower class first, and all the lower class will have to jump onto FedNow because that's how they're going to interact with the federal payments, right? Then eventually, right, they'll start getting some of the middle class that are like your typical workers, like your blue collar worker, middle class, that sort of thing. The ones that actually still get like a tax return, because if you want your tax return, you're going to have to download the FedNow app and file it through FedNow, because that's where we're going to pay you. We're no longer going to pay you to your bank or give you a check or anything. You're just going to get it through FedNow. This is how they onboard everybody, so you understand how that happens. Then, hey, you got your FedNow debit card. You don't really need a card from Wells Fargo or Bank of America or anything, because you got this FedNow card, right? You don't need anything else because that's what you have, right? And then you basically take the banks from managing money to basically only managing debt. And that'll be the first step, right? If you take basically banks from managing money to only managing debt. Well, the problem with that is that the banks that's going to drive interest rates up, because the bank's only way of making money at that point is going to be through debt. So your credit cards, etc. Eventually that fails too, because it won't be enough to keep the banking system up and running. And there'll be some sort of FedNow payment system that allows you, if you have a certain amount of credit based on whatever, the government will lend you a little bit of money ahead of time in some sort of credit formation. So then they get rid of that. Then the only thing left really is going to be cross-border payments that'll keep banks alive, right? So going from essentially the US to the UK, or the UK to Switzerland, or whatever it may be, those international banking systems will survive the longest. But eventually, once you get to the point to where you have some sort of proof of work mechanism that's allowing the interaction between CBDCs, then you can get away with it. You can do away essentially with the international banks. So I think it's a slow burn, but that's the process I see it going through over time, and that's how the onboarding will happen, right?
That's good, a central bank. Nothing wrong with centralised authority, centralised power, globalist decrees coming down from on high, avoiding democracy. That's exactly what we want. Keep talking.
And governments and central banks across the world are working together.
Oh, really? They're working together? Well, that's just such great news. The IMF, the World Bank. Why don't we involve the WEF and the WHO? What we need are unelected global bodies that have been able to co-opt political power, respond to financial power, and ignore and oppress ordinary people. Whether it's the recent medical emergency or the cost of living crisis, we're seeing the benefits all around us. I can't wait for your next policy. You're going to take our money now. This is great.
Looking into what having a digital currency might mean in practice.
I think I know what it means in practice. More power for you, no power for us.
This includes issues that people care about, such
He's
as
so funny,
ensuring
man.
users' money would be safe and secure, that it could work with other ways to pay, would be energy efficient.
Oh, it's got to be energy efficient. I was about to say, is it energy efficient?
Is it energy efficient? Is it proof of stake?
Is it energy efficient? I've got to make sure. Oh, a few other questions. You wouldn't use this ever, would you, to implement control or to advance social credit type systems or to shut down the bank accounts of people you disagree with or to surveil people and have a surveillance network that you've developed in conjunction with big tech and now a financial arm that you're developing so that you can lockstep together and gridlock us in a digital prison of surveillance tyranny? That's just off the top of my head.
Would be energy efficient.
Bitcoin and those other digital currencies that we don't control, they're bad. They're not energy efficient. This one that
Right.
we will control.
And this is like, I like that he sees this, and it's really important to understand the difference between them, right? Because what you need to understand is Bitcoin, the reason it can't be controlled is because of proof of work. And I don't know if he's going to bring that up. I'm glad he sees the difference between a CBDC and a cryptocurrency. I'll be curious if he sees why, though, because if we get to Ethereum, we see that there's regulation being put into place, right?
That'll be energy efficient. So, yeah, it's about energy efficiency. It's not about control. Control's like a side effect, just a side effect. Sorry, what? Has one of my eyes stopped moving?
And available to everyone.
Except poor people.
A potential CBDC could offer businesses and consumers new ways to pay in the future.
I expect it'd be convenient, would it? Would it be nice and convenient? Could I have some convenience, please? It'd be so convenient to be in my cell, all lathered up with a nice bubble bath of convenience.
It's all part of the wider story of digital innovation that has delivered benefits to millions around the world and in the UK.
Well, I was just talking to Edward Snowden and Julian Assange about the benefits delivered around the world, whether it's to the people of Iraq or Afghanistan, or the many people now in Western Anglophonic countries starving to death and unable to heat their homes. What they need is the small amount of money they have got to disappear into binary code.
These decisions raise important questions about the reshaping of our economy.
Yeah, I've noticed you've been reshaping it so that ordinary people have no power at all, no alternatives or options, and we
So that we're broke.
can operate entirely at the behest of powerful financial interests like Goldman Sachs. Have you ever heard? You used to work for them. Oh.
Financial systems and the way in which people interact with money and payments.
What, like through like a massive hedge fund that funded Moderna? You used to be part of a hedge fund that funded Moderna. Oh.
That's why working together.
Like you work together with your wife, who's like a billionaire. Oh.
In the UK earlier this year, I announced a new joint task force between the Treasury and the Bank of England to look into a potential CBDC as a complement to cash and bank deposits.
It's just a compliment. It's a lovely little compliment. Over here, you've got your money in the bank. Over here, you've got your digital thing. Oh no, what's this one doing? Oh look, it's facing it out, look. Oh no, what's happening? We're in digital prison.
We're also hearing from firms, technology experts and others. Under the leadership of the UK, this report today will help support and inform exploration of CBDCs in the G7 and beyond.
They're already talking in code with the acronyms and the shortened terms CBDC, G7. Because they have access to so much technology and so much data, they want to make us into machines. They want to make us into data, into entirely information. A component of humanity is doubtlessly our intelligence, but what of our awareness? What about the aspect of a human being that is difficult to define, describe, discern or tie down? The aspect of you and of me that amounts to our spirit, our nature, that which cannot be governed and controlled. Will they not rest until every aspect of...
But if our nature is to innovate and then to provide, and then you're put into, I don't know. Like, money's really interesting because, like, it's like that, I think, Dinner with Andre. There was the line at the beginning of the movie where he's getting on the subway and he says, like, when I was a kid, I was concerned with the arts and philosophy, and now I'm 36 and all I can think about is money. And it's like you get conditioned, and it sucks because I'm the same way, right? Like, especially now, like when you can't pay for everything that you need to pay for, you get stuck in this like concept of just being obsessed with money as opposed to being obsessed with the things that you're truly interested in. And then the question is why is that? What about society pushes you into that direction, right?
Human life is tied down and digitized until every aspect of your life can be controlled and monitored. Your private conversations with your doctor now subject to state edicts. Your protests shut down. Your every conversation observed. Your entire life just data points in the hands of Google and Facebook and Apple. What are they turning us into? They are turning us into machines. They are denying us our humanness, our ability to disagree, our ability to be unusual, our ability to be strange, our right to be who we are, our right to freedom.
With these principles...
Principles? Sorry, principles? Do you not mean evil master plan?
The G7 is leading an important step change in the global policy conversation. Our shared objective is to ensure that CBDCs will be grounded in long-standing commitments to transparency.
Because you've been very good at that. You've been very good at that. I noticed during the lockdown there, all the transparency, while our government were having parties, where various state officials in America were having parties, where redacted documents from Pfizer just disappear like Kaiser Soze.
And like that, he's gone.
No, you're the guys to bring us transparency. Keep talking.
The rule of law and sound economic governance. The G7 will continue its work in this important area, working with others to enhance understanding and use of these principles.
Do you think if you keep saying the word principles, we'll mistakenly think you have some?
We're excited to be taking a leading role with G7 members in publishing this exploratory work, bringing money and finance into the 21st century.
If somebody tells me once again that like I'm crazy for saying that we're going through the final piece of the digital transformation, and that's finance, and finance is going through a digital transformation, I just want to clip that specific line and point to it over and over again. This exploratory work bringing money and finance into the 21st century. This is the digital transformation completion. This is the completion of the digital transformation. Anytime you transform into a new piece of society, whether that be like agricultural or industrial, great changes will incur some strife and stress, right? So to say that there's everything that is going on right now with the economy, etc., is directly related to this. You shouldn't be blind to it. You know what I mean? John English says you're crazy. I know. No, I'm crazy because I just listen to exactly what they tell us they're doing, right?
Let's look at it in a bit more detail. During the 2022 IMF World Bank Group annual meetings, Cecilia Skingsley, head of the Innovation Hub at the Bank for International Settlements, agreed with other speakers who said introducing a CBDC is not a universal solution and should instead come together with digital IDs in a package.
Fuck. When you read something so depressing that all you can do is go, fuck. Oh, introducing a CBDC is not a universal solution and should instead come packaged with digital IDs, bro.
You've tried a few times to get that package, I've noticed. People are coming too much. What if they had a package to make sure that everyone's taken the right medicine? But I thought that medicine... We just need the package, thank you. IMF Deputy Managing Director, Bo Lee, singled it out as one of the challenges in introducing CBDC. We need a better understanding of what's the cause, what's driving that hesitancy.
Are you hesitant? What's driving your hesitancy about a digital currency paired with a digital ID system? Controlled by a government that has been revealed to intentionally be manipulating information so that you agree with it, and then restricting you if you do not agree with said information. Right? It was just like Monday where we found out about the intercept with the DHS, right? Department of Homeland Security, specifically in their targeted groups, include sovereign individuals, right? Sovereign individuals that do not have like a state identity, right? And that are able to move freely. Those individuals are in the group of people that they want to target specifically, right? Why would you want to target those individuals specifically, right? They say it's for security, blah, 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 because they add other stuff in there to scare you, like terrorism. Right now, also, as we read, they've shifted the focus from external terrorism, right? But Department of Homeland Security was like most of those subcategories that were focused on like external terrorism, like Afghanistan, Iraq, like Al-Qaeda, all that sort, ISIS, that sort of stuff, right? And we could get into why all that was bullshit, sure. But once that was gone, they still had this machine running and they had to keep it running. Well, it's a war machine, but they want to keep it running, so they just start calling people that are their own citizens terrorists, right? They target it back to domestic terrorism because domestic terrorism sounds scary, and then they can target individuals, and then basically it's a never-ending buffet, right? It's a never-ending buffet of funding for the Department of Homeland Security. That's what it ends up being. It's crazy. Polytechnical says you've got to get the people to use it. Nobody trusts these wankers. And that is what they're saying. Where is the hesitancy? What I'm saying is it's very simple because we already have FedNow launching in the US in June. It's going to be basically this. Poor people are going to have to use it because that is how poor people will essentially get their Medicaid, their Social Security, basically everything you get from the government. That's why you destroy the economy. You make people dependent on the government, and then you put in a system into place that you have full control over so that the people have to use that system because they're dependent on you to sustain themselves, right? I'm dependent on the government to give me my tax return. Therefore, I will download and participate within the system that is controlled purely by said government. It's very simple because you're just basically strong-armed into it. That's why, once again, you'll be targeting the lower class and then the middle class first. Then you try to destroy the middle class by reshaping the economy like we've been seeing, whether that's done, intentionally or by nature of what happened here recently with lockdowns, etc., to the economy. It doesn't really matter if you take advantage of it and put them into a system that you fully control and they have no way to opt out of. That's how you end up here, right?
I keep hearing this word hesitancy. Normally, it's a total lack of trust. One way to resolve it relates back to our data question. That is, if we can create enough value, if by joining the ecosystem, if consumers can enjoy a lot more financial services, if they can get credit, maybe they will be willing to join the ecosystem.
Remember when I talked about, and it's already happening, like I already told you exactly where the steps that come into play. They're already seeing it. They're going to put the ability for you to obtain credits directly through the CBDCs. Once they do that, there's no need for an interbank, right? Like a bank that is within the borders, whatever that's called. I need to learn my terminology better, but you'll only need banks for international banks for basically cross-border payments. You won't need them specifically for this. This will be the steps that it goes into, right? Well, you need credit. Well, we already know what you make and everything because you got the FedNow payment system. We're tracking all your purchases. We know if you're responsible. We know if you say the right things and you align properly, and you can get your credit. You can get your credit directly from the U.S. federal government, right? Directly from the Fed.
System, said Lee. Sounds like a nice ecosystem. Don't sound like I'll be spied on in there or controlled in there. I don't know why I'm so hesitant. Lee also explained how institutions could take advantage of CBDC data by following the model of the Chinese Communist Party. Yeah, I love the Chinese Communist Party. Well,
when it's so ridiculous, they're like, you can't Russell Brand, who's a comedian, can't even
Chinese Communist Party. Well, CBDC data.
Lee also explained how institutions can take advantage of CBDC data by following the model of the Chinese Communist Party. It's like, dude, it's so funny because they're telling you exactly what they're doing, and then if you talk about it, they're like, no, you're crazy. And you're like, obviously, you're getting gaslit to hell by the governments, right?
By following the model of the Chinese Communist Party. Yeah, I love the Chinese Communist Party. Well, mostly, I think, is the amount of freedom they give everyone. Where non-traditional data can be very useful for financial service providers to give me a credit score. Yeah, non-traditional data, not just stuff that I willingly give, stuff that you take without telling me. In 2021, the Bank of England called on ministers to decide whether a central bank digital currency should be programmable, ultimately giving the issuer control over how it's spent by the recipient. Wow, that's what you want. Control over how you spend your money.
I think that there is possibility for Ethereum to be utilized for this.
That won't be misused by a powerful corporate state. Tom Mutton, a director at the Bank of England, said there could be some socially beneficial outcomes. Socially beneficial outcomes. Preventing activity which is seen to be socially harmful in some way. I see that as socially harmful in some way. Would you stop it? No, smart, right, I'm free. I said, would you stop it? Ah! My pennies is all gone. But me piggy bank, mister. That's right. That's socially beneficial for you to shut the fuck up. You could think of giving your children...
That's socially beneficial for you to shut the fuck up.
Pocket money, but programming the money so that it couldn't be used on sweets. So much is revealed by the analogy. They think of us as children over whom they oughtn't relinquish ultimate control. This is about nothing less than your freedom, who you are. Don't forget, but recall in addition to your sexuality and your self-expression as an individual member of your class, religion, whatever, your actual freedom to do stuff. You don't be regarded as a child who wants...
I got a bio break, but this is absolutely insane, dude. 1 second, let me... yeah, I'll get the link for you. Right here. Damn.
Sweets. There is a whole range of things that money could do, programmable money, that we cannot do with the current technology, where people will just go around doing what they want, spending their money how they want. That's not good enough at all. PayPal recently shut down the accounts of anti-war publications. Yeah, that was a bit antisocial. Those wars are good for business. Consortium News and Mint Press News. At the same time, Facebook and Microsoft are working with several other web giants in the United Nations on a database to block potential extremist content. Extremist. Socially acceptable. Just language, just words closing in like an iron fist around your throat. The growth of such restrictions could create a system in which individuals who do not hold certain political views could be blocked from polite society and left unable to make a living. It's not polite to destroy people's lives. The potential scope of the social credit system under construction is enormous. It's boundless. The same companies that can track your activities and give you corporate rewards for compliant behaviour could utilise their powers to block transactions, add surcharges, or restrict your use of products. At what point does free speech make someone a target in this new system?
No, we're not muted. Oh, yeah, never mind. Okay, good.
Well, I'll leave it for you to discuss in the chat and the comments. Do you imagine this power would be misused? Do you imagine it would coalesce?
I mean, we've been talking about it for a long time, Mr. Russell. I do believe it'll be misused. I think that, clearly it's already being misused in China. I think that obviously it looks like they want to copy exactly what China's doing in the UK. I think the UK seems to be a little bit more like straight up front about it. The U.S. is a little sneakier about it, right? Like the U.S. is just kind of like, all right, we're going to roll out this FedNow payment system. You know what I mean? Yeah. So,